Thanks for joining our monthly community webcast. I'm Jürgen Kress, responsible for PaaS partner adoption at Oracle Product Management. In case you missed one of our webcasts, on-demand recordings are available. For details, please see our monthly community newsletter. In today's presentation, Neil Kominski will give us an update on ERP integration. Good afternoon, Neil, and welcome to our webcast.
Good afternoon, Jürgen, and good afternoon to all of the folks out there listening.
Great. Please feel free to post your questions via the conference chat or Twitter #PaaSCommunity. At the end of the webcast, we will answer your questions. Slides are available at the community workspace. Please do tweet and blog about products and services which are available today. Please do not blog about roadmap and future services. Objective of the call is to give you an update on how to integrate ERP. SaaS solutions like HCM, ERP, and CX need to be connected with each other and on-premises applications. ERP use cases include integrated processes from order entry to supply chain manufacturing into financial accounting systems. For today's agenda, I will start with a brief community update and hand over to Neil to give us all the details about ERP integration. At the end of the webcast, we will answer your questions. Available for you as a partner. Please visit salescentral.oracle.com. We offer all kinds of sales kits, from infrastructure to platform to SaaS. Let's dive into platform. For platform, we offer an overview of all the suite. We offer application development, integration, big data, BI, chatbots, content and experience management, data integration, and data management. Let's take a look in app integration. Each sales kit includes the different stages: prepare, discover, develop, present, and value proposition. I would like to highlight the battle card. The battle card, please make sure that you download it and put it in your phone and also on your desktops. As part of the battle card, you get all the key information. It also includes the elevator pitch and some demos. In our case, some click-through demos for integration. Also available is a customer presentation for your customer meetings in PowerPoint format and success stories to justify the battle card is a two-page overview of all the key information. On the top right, you can download it, including the product overview, where to position Oracle integration, and our certified adapters, how to engage with customers, to position it, to qualify it, to prove it, including compete information, and all the resources which are available for you to support your sales teams. So to summarize, make sure you access Sales Central, get the battle cards on your phone and your laptop, and the PowerPoint presentation for your next customer meetings. We have an overview presentation of the cloud platform, including the Universal Cloud Credit Program available, and I would like to highlight the sales kits to integrate SaaS and to innovate SaaS with Oracle Digital Assistant. Please visit oracle.com/partners/go-to/salescentral. Right now, we offer hands-on trainings, mainly for SaaS integration. We have two upcoming live virtual hands-on classes, 3-day workshops for SaaS consultants and integration experts. You can join via a Zoom conference, the web training for India on April 13th to 15th, and for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, May 4th to 6th, 2020. For registration, please visit tinyurl.com/integrate-SaaS. In case you cannot attend one of our live virtual classes, there's also free on-demand training available, including free certification. Please take a look at the Oracle Integration Cloud Platform Sales Specialist and the Oracle Application Integration Cloud Platform Solution Engineer Specialist. Both of those exams, sales and pre-sales, are free of charge. If you would like to become a certified expert, please look into the implementation exam, which we offer for both for integration and digital assistant. For more information, visit competencycenter.oracle.com. We are happy to support you as a partner with ongoing questions, to give you the updates about our community newsletter, our webcasts, and to support your proof of concepts and projects. So please join our Slack channel. The integration Slack channel is available at tinyurl.com/askoic. There you can also raise your technical questions, and Kisha and Sopani from our team will support you. With this short introduction, I would like to hand over to you, Neil.
Hello, everybody, and I hope everybody is safe and sound I'm sitting here in my home office in a little village in northern Bavaria. There's blue skies outside, and life is still good. I hope it is with all of you out there as well. So let's look at OIC. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm not really a great man for PowerPoint, but I have some slides to show you today. But first of all, we just start off on the product itself. So OIC is a toolkit containing 4 tools. The first tool is application integration, which allows you to connect apps, for example, my CRM with my ERP app. Just take, for example, I have an opportunity in my CRM and that morphs into an order in my ERP system. The next tool that we have in there is process automation. Now, process automation can be used for creating human workflows that could be an extension to your SaaS apps or your on-prem apps, for example, e-business suite or Fusion ERP, Fusion HCM, etc. Or it could be a custom business process that you design to fit your particular needs. The next tool that we have in there is something called Integration Insight. And this Integration Insight, if we look at the first one here, is to connect apps. This could be to extend apps. This one here is to analyze via dashboards what's going on here and here. So you could well imagine you have particular use cases where business users might like to get some insight into what's going on. Think of an order to cash scenario or an onboarding scenario where HCM users have to be put into payroll in e-business suite or Fusion ERP. There will, of course, be business users, maybe from the HR department, maybe from finance, who will be very interested in looking at the progress of these integrations. And of course, we can't have them looking at our monitoring screens. So what we have is business user facing dashboards. So this insights, business user facing dashboards fed with data from these components here, and they provide this business user value add. We will, of course, be going into all of these a bit more in depth, but just giving you the short introduction. The final tool that we have in here is called Visual Builder Cloud Service, and that can be used for web and mobile channel development. So here we're looking more at creating new apps, say innovating, creating new apps or new mobile web or mobile apps on top of my APIs from SaaS, for example, from Fusion ERP, from Sales Cloud or whatever, Salesforce, SAP, whatever you have there. So this tool here, again, connect apps, extend apps, analyze what's going on, and here create net new apps. Now, if we look on the right-hand side, you will see our API management solution. Because as you can imagine, many of these tools here make their components, be they integrations, business processes, business objects within Visual Builder, available via REST APIs. So of course, these APIs need to be managed. And if you don't currently have an API management solution, the one that we provide as Oracle takes care of your APIs essentially from the womb to the tomb. So what do I mean by that? We can use API here to design the APIs, to design, document the APIs, and also to test those APIs, because API includes what's known as a mock tester. This would essentially allow me to design an API together with my mobile developer, give the API a dummy URL that they could go ahead and use within their mobile app, for example, to display customer data, while I implement an integration over here that will actually go to Fusion ERP and pull out that customer data. So API for design, documentation, and of course, then we've got our API gateway component, which can then be used to govern usage of that API. So I can define policies for APIs, who can use those APIs, how often they can use those APIs. Here I'm referring to throttling. And of course, these policies have to be applied somewhere. And the policy enforcement point is an API gateway, which sits in front of OIC, Oracle Integration Cloud, and provides you with that important functionality. Now, of course, going forward, APIs could be the basis for monetization. We know of many companies, of course, who make a fortune out of their APIs, be it Google Maps, be it Uber, and so on. So that's just giving you an example of what we can do then in respect of API management. Now, API management from a commercial perspective is a separate tool, a separate SKU, so to speak, but it's technically integrated with our platform here. Now, going forward, when we look at deployment flexibility, currently today, Oracle Integration Cloud is design in the Oracle Cloud, monitor in the Oracle Cloud, okay, run in the Oracle Cloud, and monitor in the Oracle Cloud. So everything happens in the Oracle Cloud. Going forward, this is on our roadmap for this calendar year, is to have the flexibility of where these integrations actually run. So design in the Oracle Cloud, run wherever you want, and monitor what's going on in the Oracle Cloud. So this flexible runtime, so to speak, this plug and play runtime could run on premise. It could run on the Oracle Cloud, of course. Could also run in Amazon, Azure, Google, wherever your customer needs to have those API, those integrations running. Like, just think of it like Oracle Integration Cloud is our strategic integration platform. This platform can integrate cloud to cloud apps, cloud to on-prem apps, on-prem to on-prem apps as well. So in the latter situation, of course, it makes complete sense to actually run those on-prem to on-prem integrations on premise and not in the Oracle Cloud. So again, that's something, roadmap for end of this calendar year. So the typical integration points for financials, just going through some of these things here. It's like anything else. When you buy Oracle Financials, or if you buy any financials, any ERP system, or any SaaS app, the chances are that it'll have to fit into an ecosystem, and that ecosystem will include many other apps. These apps could be on premise, these apps could be on the cloud, or whatever. So just think of it for financials, for Oracle ERP, or maybe NetSuite. You will have a CRM system you'll have to integrate with. This could be Salesforce, this could be Oracle Engagement Cloud, it could be Sugar CRM. You will have to integrate with other maybe manufacturing systems, with customers. In case of HCM, with benefit systems. In the case of payroll, with banks, etc., etc. So integration in this respect is core to the functioning of the ERP system that your customers have just purchased. So we see some examples there: purchase orders, sales invoices, journals, expense items, reports, external cash transactions, and all of these external feeds. They could be coming in via spreadsheets from other internal systems, external systems, etc. And all of this, all roads lead to Rome, or all roads lead to Oracle Financials inwards, and of course, reporting on what's happening here to third-party systems as well. So it's a huge amount of reporting requirements within financial systems as well as all of these kind of more transactional services that have to be made available. For example, create purchase order and so on. So when we look at ERP, our focus today is on ERP, is to say, okay, what do I actually get with ERP? So if I look at ERP Cloud as being here in the middle, there's going to be some native integration flows that are already included in the product. So in other words, these are the integrations you don't need to implement, they're already there. There will already be some pre-built integrations as well, like integrations quote to cash with CPQ Cloud, EPM Cloud with Financials Cloud, etc. So there's pre-built integrations also available here. There can also be pre-packaged integrations that you could use. Some of these here I've listed are in respect of eBusiness Suite, because naturally we have many customers who are transitioning from eBusiness Suite on-premise to ERP Cloud. And of course, many customers don't do this as a big bang. So there will be a period of coexistence where integration will be necessary between ERP Cloud and eBusiness Suite on-premise. So ERP itself comes with a load of integration flows out of the box. And then here, what it does is it provides a rich set of APIs here and services that we can leverage from the outside world. So here are the REST APIs, the SOAP APIs, the FBDI support, etc., etc. All of these are available as integration services. Now, of course, you could use these integration services from your, write your own integration clients or whatever, your own orchestrations, etc., etc. But of course, we expect most people to use these integration services via the integration platform. So of course, what's the big value add here? The big value add here is this integration platform can be used to easily orchestrate inbound, outbound bulk data flows across on-premise, SaaS, cloud, and of course, other like setup services that you may need, or transactional services such as create purchase order across various systems as well. So if we have a quick drop into ERP, into OIC here. So I just want to show you, this is the home page of OIC today. So when I look in here, I see the tools on the right, on the left-hand side here. So there's integrations, there's processes, there's visual builder, and there's insight. So if I click on integrations, now the whole story here is, or the whole magic here is the connections. So the connections here, if I want to connect apps, I create connections to those apps. And those connections are using our adapters here. So just think of the adapters, taking care of the plumbing, how to connect to that target ERP system, through which methods it's going to connect, be it SOAP, REST, or whatever, masking all of that complexity for me and just allowing me to have a business user interface to that target app. So as you can see, we have adapters for many apps. They are Oracle apps, non-Oracle apps, cloud apps, on-premise apps, technology components, social components, productivity components, etc. So Kafka, SAP Ariba, automation anywhere for robotic process automation, DB2, databases. Here we're coming in Eventbrite, social there, file, FTP, more technical adapters, and so on and so on. JD Edwards on-premise. There we have Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle ATP database, NetSuite, Oracle database, eBusiness Suite here, ERP Cloud here, and so on through all of these. Also very much to note is the Oracle SOA Suite adapter. Now just think of it this way here. You could have many customers who are transitioning to Fusion ERP, still with eBusiness Suite on-premise, and they've got SOA Suite on-premise as well. And SOA Suite on-premise could be used for integrating with eBusiness Suite. Through the SOA Suite adapter, we can very easily from OIC in the cloud execute processes or service bus or BIP processes on SOA Suite. The other way around as well, like conversely, in JDeveloper 12.2.1.4, that's the latest release of SOA Suite, you can create connections to OIC. So we've invested quite heavily in this hybrid approach between OIC and SOA Suite as well. So you can see other adapters here, such as SAP, Salesforce, the technology adapters, REST and SOAP. So if I do need to integrate with a third-party system and we do not have an adapter for that third-party system, just Google the APIs of that and you will probably find that they have REST APIs, then you can use the REST adapter here. Now the net about these adapters, these are being augmented every month. So you can well imagine like the SOA Suite days, we had a release maybe once a year, once every 2 years, whatever. A huge mammoth project to get the next version of SOA Suite out. In the cloud, it's monthly. So you get regular updates if you're an OIC customer, or your customers will get regular updates, often with new adapters that they can leverage them easily, and this as easily as you will see now. So I create the connections there, and then I go into the integrations. So I look at the integrations here with different patterns that you can actually use here. My internet connection is unstable, but I'm sure we'll get through with this. I click on create here just to show you. So here are an example of the integration styles that we support here. It's like app-driven orchestration, scheduled orchestration, file transfer, etc., etc. So app-driven orchestration is, I want to provide an API to the outside world that they can execute this integration or call this integration. I can also use this pattern if I want to respond to an event in a SaaS app, which we will do in this example here. But this one here, you usually see is you're going to be processes triggered by an application or an API call from a client. The next pattern that we have here is the scheduled orchestration. So you can well imagine with Fusion ERP or any ERP system, there's quite a bit of file processing that has to be done. I think somebody said to me about 80% of the integrations are file-based. Many of these file-based integrations have to run according to a schedule. For example, at 5 p.m. every day, pick up new purchase orders from our e-commerce site and put them into ERP. I could use the scheduled orchestration for that. The next pattern that we have there is file transfer, which essentially is like MFT, managed file transfer, moving files from one FTP server to another. Basic routing is more like service bus, not as rich as the functionality you have in here, more like service bus, useful for keeping maybe business objects in sync. And then we have the publish and subscribe. So publish and subscribe here is similar to what we had with the event delivery network and SOA Suite, or many other publish subscribe paradigms. So just think of that as, you publish a topic and you subscribe to that, so on. Let's go in and take one of these guys here now. So I'm going to go in here and let's have a quick look and we see what we have to do here. So the first thing that we do here is we give it a name, PARTNER partner, PARTNER partner, Webcast ERP. Now you can put these integrations into a package. Package is a bit like a PLSQL package that contains many functions and procedure, except that our package just contains many integrations. It's very, very useful to use packages because you can import, export at package level. So this makes it much easier to progress from dev to test and so on. So I put down PCK, JK for Jürgen Kress. Okay, and I click create. So now when we come in here, we're going to drop in the ERP adapter here. And here's my ERP adapter. And I can drop this guy in here. And then we will see what we can do with the ERP adapter as what we call a trigger. In other words, triggering an integration. And here we will see different possibilities. Again, we can use most of these adapters as triggers or as invokes. So in other words, an adapter kicking off an integration or an adapter being called or being invoked from within an integration. So just waiting for this to appear here. What we will see when it does appear is that we can subscribe to the list of all business events in Fusion ERP. Says here waiting for the internet to progress here. Let me see, if not, we can just go into this guy here and show it to you how it is. Because the exact same thing here. Okay, good. I can go in here. No, that guy's taking his time, but let's look in this guy here for the exact same thing here. So in this guy, we are going to have you'll see this is the finished product, so to speak, or it should be. There we go here. So in this very, very simple example, you see I'm subscribing to a new purchase order. Did that come back? Didn't come back yet. Okay, so here, let's go in here. So I dragged and dropped the ERP adapter, and let's hope this one will be a bit quicker here now. And it showed me a list of all of the business events in ERP. I chose the purchase order business event. I put in a filter. In other words, I don't want all purchase orders. I want purchase orders of a particular type. So just filtering on one of the fields of the purchase order in this respect here. When I get that guy there, then what I'm doing is, just let me check this, reload that page. I apologize for the slowness of the internet here, but this is what happens. No. Very strange, very strange, very strange. Okay. So hope that this responds a bit quicker, but instead I'll go back to, which I don't like actually doing, but I will actually go back to the PowerPoint here. And we'll come back to that later. So 3 different types of these things here. That we talk about transactional services, which would be SOAP or REST APIs. And of course, the ERP is transitioning more towards REST APIs. The transactional services are things like, you know, create purchase order, update purchase order, etc. We also see included in here are the business events. Now, as I say, there's about 100 and something business events in ERP that we can respond to. Things like a purchase order created. So in other words, once a purchase order has been created in Fusion ERP, this integration will kick off and send that purchase order information to a downstream system, for example. Then of course, we've got the bulk services, you know, file-based data integration, getting data into ERP or files into ERP, and of course, doing data extracts, getting files out, maybe running BI publisher reports and extracting that data, pushing it to a downstream system. And of course, we've got the basic setup services that we have in here. And of course, all of this is taken care of Oracle integration with the end-to-end orchestration. So this is just another view, like a more functional architecture of what we have in here. So of course, within Cloud ERP, you've got the services like the APIs, you've got the data extract, you've got the data load that we can do here. And of course, within Oracle integration, you've got the inbound interfaces for loading data, the outbound interfaces for extracting data, and of course, just the invokes here, bidirectional for leveraging the APIs. Now, of course, Oracle integration can be used to implement your business process, for example, opportunity to order from your CRM system to your ERP system. But it could also provide access to enterprise data for digital innovation using maybe digital assistant or maybe blockchain. Like there are blockchain use cases where the blockchain has to go off chain, so to speak, to update enterprise systems of record. Of course, Oracle integration is strategically placed to provide those APIs for blockchain. Same story for digital assistant as well. So of course, the adapters simplify the integration. And I'm just a devil. I'm going to go back and see, is the adapter there? There it is here. So let's look at this at last, Habemus Luce. What does this adapter provide us with? Subscribe to new purchase orders. That should be okay. Let's do next. The field we do call endpoint is required a value. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so I'm afraid there are some issues there. Just one more time, just try it out. So, and here we have here. So, here we have received business events raised within ERP Cloud. So you see all of these business events here. We saw them on the presentation as well. Just going back to this slide here. These are the business events I was referring to. We have all of these business events here, and of course you can choose whatever one you want. So like we could go in here and we do purchase order created, and you just go in here. And if you want, you can add a filter expression. So I have a filter expression here, looking for an item description with my name in it. But of course, this could be any other field within the purchase order, or else you can respond to all purchase orders. Now, what else could I do as a trigger? Is receive a callback message upon completion of a bulk import job. So you can well imagine when you're doing bulk imports, it's going to be essentially asynchronous. You're putting data into the inbox of Fusion ERP, which is UCM, and then you're kicking off an import and load process, so to speak. This can take a certain amount of time. And of course, you can get a callback or define an integration here that would receive that callback from the import and load process, giving you the status, etc., etc. So this is very, very useful here. We can also receive requests from ERP Cloud via Groovy Script. So these are the 3 things that we can actually do here with the, with the trigger here, ERP event trigger. So we go back up here and we just, because of the screen is small because we are in presentation mode. So let me try this. Why doesn't it let me get back up there? So I apologize for this, folks, but it looks there. It is there. Do next. Next. And of course, it's going to ask me, do I want to call back or say call back here? And I'll say no, I'll just do a fire and forget here. So I'll just do none and I do next. So now, of course, I have access to that guy there. Now, a very, very simple example of what I could actually do with this, say if I have to send this to a downstream system, would be to actually just go in here and let's mimic this downstream system with an FTP file. So I'm just going to put it over here to an FTP server. And when I go in here, I'd say, okay, write PO, just write the PO2 file. That's even very good name. So I do next. And I'm going to say here, write a file. It's going to be ASCII. And my directory is going to be /home/users. Now, in this particular case, my FTP server is an FTP server that is shipped with OIC. So this is a part of the new functionality that will be coming or be released within the next couple of months, is your own FTP server in OIC. So this one I'm using here, I give it a name here. I'll go here that PO sequence.txt or something like that. Of course, I can do a lot of funky stuff there with PGP encryption and so on. And I just say here, I want the schema to specify what this purchase order looks like. Now, I have a simple, very, very simple purchase order schema there that I'm going to use. So now, looking at this here, we've received in the purchase order here. We're going to write it to a downstream system. And how do we actually do it? We just go into the mapper to do that. Now, this mapper works on 3 different levels. The first level is, drag and drop source to target. It's the simplistic thing here. So these are the fields I want. Here are the fields I'm getting from ERP. Doing this thing here. See them all here, all in all of their pristine glory. And I can just go over here, purchase order number, the user, we can do things like here, procurement user, which will be the buyer name. The business unit is the business unit here, etc., etc. So I've just business unit. There it is here. Business unit is going to be down there. And the final field is the supplier, and we do that. So this is a very, very simple way of mapping. Now, of course, there may be occasions where you've got to do something more complex. For example, concatenate 2 fields here into 1 field over here. So what do we use for that? We use the functions here, like the string functions here. Very similar to what we have in Service Bus. You drop the concat, specify the 2 fields, and then the target. What else can we do in here? We've got other functions here. There are functions like conversion functions, advanced functions for generating IDs, etc., etc. The next level that we can actually go down to is the advanced here, advanced XSLT processing. And here we can do things like conditional mapping for each loops. If the dependent is over 18 years of age and the dependent is a student, then they're still eligible for benefits, so map them. If not, don't map them. So they're the 3 levels that you can work on in the mapper. Simple drag and drop field to field mapping here, leveraging these functions here, and then the advanced, the XSLT flow control. So with those, you can do very, very intricate and very, very complex mappings. So that was just giving you an example of that there, showing you how we can actually use the Fusion ERP adapter as a trigger in this integration. Now, if I want to use it as a target, you can see here, I just go down to ERP Cloud again, take this guy here, drop it in there. It comes up here and I just give it a name, whatever, next. And here you can see, what would you like to do? So again, this is the magic of the adapter. It's masking all of the complexity of these APIs, the plumbing, the underlying plumbing. How do I actually instantiate those APIs? How do I call those services, et cetera, et cetera? All of that is done for you. You have this business user view of this. So here we can do things like importing bulk data. We can also kick off data extracts. And you've got the services here the business objects, the services, the REST resources, all available to you here. And you just have to go down and pick whatever one of these you want. Now, of course, it does mean you do have to know what you're doing. Like a fool with a tool is still a fool, but you do have this wizard support that is a more business user functional approach that we're looking at here. So that's just giving you an example of that there. So if I say it's going to put in as a contact there and I do done. And of course, what it does is it generates the invoke here and of course the mapper here that I can then use to fill that guy as well. So very, very simple stuff here. The tool itself, like we're looking at the mapper again here, the mapper comes with a recommendations engine. Now, there won't be any recommendations here for this scenario that I've thought up here, but the idea would be for many of the typical use cases, you will have recommendations and you can just apply those recommendations as a first draft of the mapping if you're unsure of what you have to do, or if there's a plethora of fields, too many fields, and you want to save some time, just click on the recommends as well there. Of course, the adapter is simplifying the integration. You've seen that for yourself there. Of course, there are thousands of ERP SaaS business objects. And if you have to go through the documentation to work out what to do with each of those, yeah, you can well imagine you're saving an awful lot of time using the adapter. And of course, the adapter provides full support for events, real-time APIs, the SOAP and REST APIs, for bulk data operations for FBDI through the ERP adapter, and for data extracts using the ERP adapter and sometimes the SOAP adapter to interface with UCM. So of course, we do have a rich set of adapters, 75 plus. Here they are kind of categorized ERP adapters, CX adapters, and so on. Now, the whole idea again is these have been augmented. This list has been augmented every month. For example, there's a Shopify adapter that hasn't appeared here as yet. So these slides are somewhat old. And of course, what we're doing here as well is we're providing you also with plug and play recipes. Now, these plug and play recipes, which are available on the cloud marketplace, are draft implementations of particular use cases. So they're integration use cases, and you take them and you use them and you can abuse them to your heart's content. So in other words, you are responsible for them. What we are also building from Oracle are business accelerators. And business accelerators are more like, if some of you might remember the SOA templates in 12C, where you could actually lock down which activities, lock down certain activities, which meant that somebody leveraging the template couldn't touch them. And these business accelerators, we're starting off with a set for Salesforce to NetSuite use cases. They will be available very soon. And these are out-of-the-box integrations that you point to your Salesforce and your NetSuite, and they will run out of the box for you. And the integrations will be managed by Oracle going forward. So it's a big difference between a business accelerator and a recipe. So of course, here are just some of the examples here: order capture, transport planning, to shipping and inventory, tracking what's been shipped, and of course then sending out the invoice and collecting the money for what you've actually provided. So if we look at some of the integration patterns, now here is the real-time sync, near real-time sync. So here is what I was showing you to subscribe to an event. So something happens over here, new purchase order created. This kicks off the integration here. The integration gets the data, transforms the data, and sends it to some downstream system. So of course, this downstream system could be any of these here, it could be whatever downstream system you have. In my case, I was just sending it to an FTP server. Now, an example of something like that would be a medical invoice system where we say, okay, the event that kicks off the OIC integration flow is an AP invoice event. And then of course, then we're going to get the payment data. We're doing stuff like applying the credit memo. We're uploading the invoice image to ERP. The payment has been made to the medical provider, etc., etc. So this is again, just going back over what I was showing you here. We're subscribing to this purchase order event. And this is a very nice example where we see us using Visual Builder to extend Fusion ERP functionality. So in this use case, I have a purchase order and I've added a new field to that purchase order in ERP. It's called Letter of Credit ID. And this Letter of Credit ID is information that's going to be filled in by a non-Fusion ERP user. And this non-Fusion ERP user is going to use a Visual Builder app as their user interface to set this value. So what we have in this simple example is the purchase order is created. I transform the data. I get that data in integration. I push it out to a Visual Builder business object, which of course is what the end user will see here, the Visual Builder user. The Visual Builder user enters the letter of credit ID value and clicks save. And when he clicks save, another integration is called to update the purchase order in ERP. So it's a very, very simple scenario of something happens in ERP, get that data, push it out, visualize it for a third party in Visual Builder. They make some changes, they save, update the purchase order here in the background. So this is, as I say, it's one of the labs that we have for ERP. And when I'm just talking about it, Jürgen has all of this lab material, like the PowerPoints and the lab material available on the community website. So please do leverage that, because for each of these use cases I'm going to be going through, we do have example labs that show you blow by blow how to actually do that. So next thing we're looking at is bulk import pattern. So of course, this is the typical thing. I'm going to pull in a file. Maybe it's a schedule. At 5 p.m. every day, I'm pulling purchase orders in from my e-commerce site or whatever. And I'm going to retrieve that file, put it into the FBDI format that Fusion ERP requires, and then I'm going to initiate the import. So you can well imagine when we're importing data into ERP Cloud, it's going through UCM. And think of UCM as the inbox, outbox for ERP, or for HCM, that matter of fact. So the data goes into UCM, and of course from UCM it's going to be loaded and imported into ERP proper. And that's when the plausibility checks are being done. So, and of course, we're going to then get the result of that and send a notification out. So in other words here, picking up the files, putting them into the right format, initializing the import, putting them into UCM. The load and import is kicked off within ERP Cloud ecosystem here, then getting the response back and doing whatever is necessary then. So this is one of the labs that we provide you with as well is accounts payable invoices bulk import automation. So here we take the files, putting them into the right format, creating the manifest, zipping up the import, initiate the import job, goes through the UCM modus operandi here, and then get back the report and so on. So for exporting, so that was data import. For exporting, of course, we can use BI Publisher for extracting data. So BI Publisher is a reporting tool within ERP, as most of you, I'm sure most of you know, where you can either via SQL or graphically create your reports, you know, which data do I want, which fields from those business objects, and so on and so on. And of course, you can specify as well, you know, what format you want those reports to have, whether they should be, you know, XML file, XML, whether it should be CSV, PDF, etc., etc. And of course, you can specify what the target should be. You know, where am I going to deposit this report? Is it going to be sent to an FTP server? Is it going to be left in UCM to be picked up, etc., etc.? So how do we do something like that in Oracle integration? So the first flow we have here is you kick off an integration that initiates the bulk export. So it's kicking off the business, the BI Publisher report here. Of course, that takes its time. And the report is generated, uploaded to UCM. And of course, I have another flow here that's waiting for the callback. And this is kicked off when this report has been generated, kicks off the second integration flow, which picks up the report, puts it into the format that I require, and sends it to the downstream system. So again, this is one of the other labs that we have here for that as well. So of course, Oracle integration is supporting ERP Cloud seeded BIP extracts, you know, the usual extracts that you consider. So these are the ones that you see listed in the adapter as well. So you can very easily kick off these extracts. So there's another example here for the short BI reports the web client kicking off the report here. The report does it, gets the response, and sends it back to the client. So of course, the Oracle Integration Cloud is the best for ERP and SEM Cloud, of course. Because why? We have these native adapters. So none of the competition have that sort of interoperability or that support, native support for integrating with Fusion ERP and so on. So of course, we make it very, very simple. You know, you can auto discovery of batch and real-time services. Of course, you've seen that with the wizard. You can understand how easy it is. Other things here, there are comprehensive support for handling large files, encryption, decryption of those files, zip and unzip. And again, as I mentioned, we do now have the facility of having this file server with FTP server within OIC. Now again, what I'm showing you here is a internal version that I have here, but you will have this functionality in the next couple of months within Fusion ERP or within OIC itself here. So here is my FTP server. You see you've got an IP address and a port, so you can use FileZilla as your client to actually kind of look at the contents of the folders that I have created in here. So for example, I've got my folders here for ERP, HCM, and so on. There's my ERP folder, my HCM folder, and so on, and whatever. So just showing you those things there. Now, I'm very conscious of the time, and I'm conscious that this slide deck, and we do have full support, of course, as well for NetSuite. I'm not going to go into NetSuite in detail, but just to let you know, like, we do have not just Oracle ERP, we've got NetSuite adapters, we've got the eBusiness Suite adapter, we've got the JD Edwards adapter, and of course, we've got adapters for the competition like SAP and so on. So, other things that I just wanted to show you here are the other components within this. For example, processes. So you could well imagine there could be occasions where you need human intervention. Many integrations are machine to machine, but there could be a thing where you say, if an order is exceedingly high, before it goes into ERP, it has to be approved by somebody. You could design a process like this to do that. So here's a process where I receive a PO, a purchase order, I send it to somebody to approve it. If it's not approved, it's sent back to the customer sales rep to fix that. And if it is approved, I call EBS or call ERP to integrate. I call an integration that will put that into ERP or EBS. So very, very simple, very, very powerful tool that we have here. This process tool can also be used for error handling for your integrations. For example, I have an integration error. I'm trying to create a purchase order in ERP. Something goes wrong. It's a business error. I could kick off a process here where that purchase order is visualized for somebody from the finance department. They can fix it, for example, fix the purchase order, and then reinitiate the integration to put that into Fusion ERP or EBS, whatever. So very, very powerful tooling that we have there as well. The next component that we have in there is Visual Builder. And of course, Visual Builder allows me to, for example, create very, very simple, very, very powerful web apps and native mobile apps on top of my APIs. So I'm just going to give you a very, very simple example of this before we get on to the questions. So here I'm connecting to my Sales Cloud. Now I can do this again for ERP, for HCM, same idea here. I go in here, I create a web application, and I'll say, I give it an application name, my app. For example, I do create. And within here, you see, I've got my JavaScript-based design time, but I can do an awful lot of stuff. It's low code, so I can do an awful lot of stuff without having to actually code anything. So what I can do in something like this here is I could, just drag and drop a table in there and make it very easy to display my sales contacts or something like that there. So very, very easy to use tooling that we have here as well in Visual Builder. And this can be used to create net new apps. So net new apps on top of our APIs. be they directly going to the SaaS app APIs or via our integration component there as well. So that is Visual Builder. The other tool that we have in there, as I say, was Integration Insight. Now, Integration Insight will be available hopefully by the end of this month in OIC. And for those who remember SOA Suite, it's very similar to what we had with BAM dashboards. Very, very similar. It works on the basis of milestones that you define. And I'll give an example of this here for those milestones that you can see what I'm talking about. It says here, looking for his milestones. Here they are, yeah. So there we are, milestones such as, you know, employee hired, to go through to the employee is successfully onboarded. So imagine if you have an integration and a process, or many integrations and processes that implement this functional use case, we can send data from those processes to dashboards to visualize for the end user what's actually going on here. You know, how long did the Active Directory take? How many errors do I have there? How many required fields missing when I'm trying to create them on my payroll? That sort of stuff there. So the Insight is going to provide us with a rich set of business user-facing dashboards in this respect. Okay, so now I'm very, very conscious of the time. So, and as I say, an hour doesn't really do justice to this, to what OIC is. But net is, it's the tool to connect, to extend your apps, to connect your apps, extend your apps, to create net new apps with Visual Builder, and finally, Integration Insight to give you the analytics, the business user-facing analytics for what's actually going on. So with that, Jürgen, I know that we have some questions in chat. Shall we go to the chat questions, or do you want to continue with your part?
Excellent, Neil. So if you can let it wrap me up to give the call to action, and then we go to your questions. If you have questions.
Okay, good. So just one moment, please. Let me go to these slides here too.
If you have questions, please post them in the chat, and we are coming to the questions in a second.
I just want to say, folks, like the presentation that I put together here for today, like it's focused on e-business, or sorry, Fusion ERP, but I do cover as well NetSuite, SAP, e-business suite as well. So just to let you know, if you're interested in those ones as well, they are covered in this. So back to you, Jürgen. So I'm just going in here. There you are, Jürgen.
So if you're not yet a member in the PaaS partner community, to get access to the workspace, please register now, tinyurl.com/oracleic. We also have the Slack channel to help you with your technical questions, and you can post them there anytime. Certification, including free SaaS and pre-sales guided learning paths, that's online training, including free certification, is available at tinyurl.com/integrate-SaaS. Visit the integration website at oracle.com/cloud/integration and get a free trial account at oracle.com/tryit. If you would like to use Oracle integration with the free trial, you have to create a service request to access Oracle integration. With that short summary, let's go to the questions, Neil. There's one. The first question is about Oracle Integration Insight. Is it available, and is it a separate service?
Okay, so Oracle Integration Insight will be available when you spin up a new OIC instance within the next couple of weeks. So hopefully by the end of this month, that'll be available. We will do a separate webcast. I think our next webcast, Jürgen, will be on Insight. So it's part and parcel of OIC. It's not an extra SKU. Next question.
Great. And if a partner would like to try Oracle Insight with a custom opportunity, who should they contact?
Okay, if they want to do that, like they should, when this is available, you know, when this is generally available, which should be, as I say, within a couple of weeks, then they've just got to spin up an OIC instance and it'll be there for them.
Okay. Can OIC run on any cloud, or can you connect to any cloud like Amazon?
Okay.
And
you can connect to any cloud. Now, first of all, I mentioned at the start about the flexible runtime. In other words, going forward, this is we're talking about roadmap with the usual safe harbor statement for end of this calendar year. End of this calendar year, we're planning to have a runtime for your integrations that you can place wherever it makes most sense, be it in the Oracle Cloud, be it in Amazon, be it in Azure, or be it on-premise. Connecting to other clouds, you can do that today. So like we can use the REST adapter. We are working on specific adapters like S3 adapters and so on. And I'm sure we'll be working on some adapters for Azure as well. But today you can connect to other clouds via the technology adapter, usually the REST adapter.
And what is the difference between a business event and a business logic?
Okay, the business event is, as I say, something like purchase order created. Business logic could be that you have an orchestration where you say, if an order is over 5,000 euros, it has to be manually approved. Otherwise, we just call and we invoke ERP and put it in immediately. So the business logic is what you want. The business events are what ERP, for example, is generating for you.
You showed the FTP server, part of OIC. Will it be accessible from outside the internet?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, look here. Look, I'm here on, yeah, there's some FileZilla. So the whole idea is you could use this and say to your customers, you know, place the files there and whatever, you know.
Cool. As you're showing OIC right now, where can they find the functions and can they remove duplicate lines from a file?
So, yeah, okay. If you wanted to, like, you can, of course, have an orchestration where you say, part of my business logic is to check for duplicates. You can do that. Now, the tools, the activities that you can use within an integration, they're mainly a subset of what's already available in BIP in SOA Suite, plus with a couple of additions there as well. If for any reason you find yourself flummoxed and you say, hey, I don't, you know, the tool doesn't allow me to do this, you can always implement JavaScript logic and leverage that JavaScript logic within your integration. So this is a bit like embedded Java that we had in SOA Suite. Next question.
Cool. For the data mapping, how to use the recommendation engine?
Okay, the recommendation engine is crowdsourced. So in other words, when you try to deploy, when you have something to deploy, I'll just show it to you here, how we actually get the data in there. Now, quite a bit of this data is preceded by Oracle. But if I go in here and let's deactivate this guy and then reactivate it, you will see there is a checkbox here that's permanently checked, which you, of course, can uncheck if you want. This guy here. And you will see here, contribute integration mappings to Oracle recommends. So you can uncheck that and then your mappings won't go in there. So these recommendations are largely crowdsourced from existing customers.
Cool.
Like it's anonymized and that's how we get it. Some is preceded by Oracle, but the rest is via this Oracle recommends here.
Is the Oracle Agile PLM adapter?
We don't have one at the moment. You have to use either the SOAP or the REST adapter for that at the moment.
Okay. Can the ERP adapters intercept a transaction that is in progress in the ERP workflow and send controls to Process Builder CS?
Yes. Okay. Essentially, we can do anything here because of the fact that within ERP, you can have events, you know, you can have Groovy script events and whatever. So you can specify an event to fire when something happens in ERP. Now, this is within ERP itself. And then this Groovy script can call the integration. You saw at the very start when I dropped the ERP adapter as a trigger, I could have it responding to Groovy in ERP. So that's one way of doing it.
Okay, nice comment from Chris. He recommends the trainings. So if you would like to attend the training, the link is tinyurl.com/integrate SaaS. No, I lost the line. Is FTP available over public network?
Yes.
Okay. The slides are available at the community workspace. You need to be a member and it's a manual integration. So once you register for the community newsletter, I will add you usually within a week. I promise I do it tonight to add everybody to the community workspace. How can the FTP timeout be increased above 600 seconds?
That I will have to look at. Whoever had that question, please send it to me via email and I will look into that. I cannot answer that immediately.
You want to promote your blog? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say for the folks here, guys, if you are, guys and girls, if you are integrating and you want to check out the new features, like I blog very regularly here about all of the adapters or as many of the adapters that I can work with. There are Fusion apps, many posts on Fusion apps describing exactly the use cases I mentioned, you know, bulk imports, bulk extracts, the transactional stuff there, responding to business events and so on. So I try to keep try to post at least once a week in here, and most of my posts are actually how-tos. So it's not very much kind of, I'm not writing any novels here. It's usually a case of, you know, how do I do this? How do I work with the ServiceNow adapter? How do I set it up, for example? Same sort of thing for ERP adapter, HCM adapter, and so on. So it's neilcblogs.blogspot.com. And as I say, I'm happy, like it's well used, the blog, and I think it's very good. And if you ever have any issues there, or you want me to do specific things, just leave a comment on the blog and I'll try it out for you. Okay.
Okay, a couple of comments about free trials that it's not working. You can request a free trial and you get an always on instance, plus you get $300 or $500 of credit to use Oracle integration, which is not part of the always free tier. And you need to create a service request to get access to Oracle integration, as we have so many requests right now. So once you have access to Oracle integration, you can use then your $300 to burn it. If you run out of that, or the 30 days, you can contact your Oracle partner manager to extend it. Yeah, so thanks a lot for attending today's webcast. Thanks for all the questions.
Thanks everybody, and stay safe, and look forward to meeting many of you soon when this challenge is over. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending, and hope to talk to you next month.